The film starts with Lara Jean writing a letter to Peter from Seoul. She has taken a trip with Margot, Kitty, Dan, and Trina just before the end of Lara Jean's senior year of high school. They go to the Love Locks Bridge where they find a lock left by Dan and his late wife Eve. Kitty goes to ask a local boy to take a picture, and she immediately develops a crush on him. He says his name is Day, and he flirts back with Kitty, and her dad and sisters take notice. Upon returning home, Lara Jean is anticipating college acceptances, as she and Peter plan to go to Stanford together. Peter surprises her with a welcome home thing for her when she returns. They watch, say anything, together and talk about themselves as a couple, such as wondering if they have a meet-cute like in most romantic comedies, or if they have their own special song. Lara Jean returns to school with Chris and Lucas, where they see people planning elaborate promposals. They are also anticipating a senior trip to New York. Peter tells Lara Jean that he shared an Oasis album with her on Spotify to see if any of those songs could be their song. Dan proposes to Trina, who accepts. As Lara Jean and Kitty discuss what the plans should be, Lara Jean receives a message from Stanford. To her disappointment, she has been rejected. Chris and Kitty comfort her while Margot FaceTimes her. When Margot suggests other options like NYU, Lara Jean snaps back at her that she doesn't want to be far from the family, like Margot does. Later, as Peter is texting asking Lara Jean if she got in, she receives another message from Margot asking if they are still okay. Thinking she is responding to Margot, Lara Jean writes, "Of course. Love you." That message went to Peter, who thinks she got into Stanford. Before Lara Jean can clear the error, Peter already shows up to her house to pick her up and celebrate at their favorite diner. To make things more awkward, Peter uses strawberry pancakes as his promposal to Lara Jean, who accepts. Lara Jean becomes too scared to read any more college emails, so she gives Kitty the codes to open the emails and read them for her. Kitty and Trina read the next one and tell Lara Jean that she has been accepted to Berkeley, which means she would be like a day's drive away from Stanford to see Peter. The seniors fly to New York City. When they get there, Lara Jean and Peter seize an opportunity to sneak away and go to a cafe that Lara Jean has wanted to go to. There, she comes clean about being rejected from Stanford. While Peter is upset, he thinks it's a good idea for Lara Jean to go to Berkeley so they can still be somewhat close, and that she can transfer after freshman year. As the class starts taking their tour, Chris is asked to prom by her sort of boyfriend Trevor, and she accepts. The groups are split up alphabetically, meaning Lara Jean can't go with Peter. She goes off with Chris while Peter goes off with Trevor. When the girls reach the campus of NYU, they run into Jen, who is taking a tour with a senior girl named Heather. She invites the girls to a party on campus, and Lara Jean and Chris join them. One of Heather's friends later wants to grab a pink couch that her ex-boyfriend won't give back to her, so the girls all ride the subway when there's no people and steal it from the apartment. Lara Jean finds herself loving NYU and the thought of attending that school. When Lara Jean gets home, she talks to Margot and apologizes for what she said earlier. They also discuss their dad remarrying, which doesn't bother Margot, but she does feel some type of way about Dan being with someone other than their mom. Lara Jean also tells Margot that she actually did enjoy New York more than she expected. If you have come this far in the video, please subscribe to this channel to never miss amazing content like this. Lara Jean invites Peter to go bowling. There, they are surprised to find his father there with his other family. Lara Jean is elated to meet Mr. Kavinsky, but Peter is obviously still sore about the abandonment and declines to join his dad and the others for a game. Later, Peter discusses his feelings about it with Lara Jean, stating that while he is still angry at his dad, he also does still miss him. Lara Jean learns that Kitty was keeping an NYU acceptance letter from her. She is excited to be accepted but also worried about what Peter might say if he knew she wanted to go further away than expected. She asks Dan if he and Trina are together just because they live so close, and Dan admits that it might be the case, But they do genuinely love each other. Lara Jean later tells Peter that she really does want to go to NYU, and while he isn't entirely happy about her choice, he says that he will support her decision. Peter gives Lara Jean his yearbook for her to write something nice in it. At home, Kitty makes a snide comment about Lara Jean being conflicted about her college choice because she's uncertain of her future with Peter. Dan chastises her for it. It is prom night. Lara Jean, Peter, and all their friends go and dance and have a good time. The prom king and queen are announced, and it's Peter and a girl named Emily. After the dance, Lara Jean and Peter go back to her room where she decides she wants them to take things to the next level for the first time. Peter questions her as to why she picked that moment, and he figures that she must be doing it as consolation for the fact that they will be far apart. They break up again. Chris goes to console Lara Jean. Kitty goes into her room and admits she withheld the NYU acceptance letter from her because she knew that Lara Jean would be torn up about choosing between being close to Peter or far away. Lara Jean hugs her sister. Peter meets with his dad in the cafe. Although Peter is still sore about everything, Mr. Kavinsky admits that he was wrong in the abandonment and that he knew he wasn't ready to take on the responsibilities, but he still wants to have an active presence in his son's life. Peter warms up to the idea, and he realizes that if his dad is willing to make a relationship work, then so can he. The day of Dan and Trina's wedding arrives. The family holds it in the backyard, and Margot shows up for the event as well. Lara Jean doesn't invite Peter so that it won't be awkward for Dan. The two are married, and everyone attends the reception. At the end of the night, Kitty tells Lara Jean to get something from the tent outside. There, she finds her yearbook with a long sweet message from Peter. Peter appears from behind Lara Jean, and they play an Oasis song to dance to. They then go to her room when everyone is asleep. The class graduates and Lara Jean parts with her friends. She goes to NYU in the fall and sets up her new room. Peter is seen making the drive to see her in New York. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comment section below which movie you want us to recap next. As always, until the next time.